The early 2000s were awesome. It was a magical time of transition, innovation, and authenticity. These times were rebellious, edgy, and the massive corporate greed that ruined everything was still years away. It was at this time where the tactical gear industry truly started to pick up and create lots of cool products for military and civilian markets. With the discontent of the US Army UCP Camouflage, companies started to come up with solutions to hopefully fix that problem, but even more in hopes of winning those sweet multi-million-dollar government contracts. Stay tuned. In a little bit, I'm gonna walk you through my whole collection of ATACS stuff and show you all the pieces of gear I've been slowly accumulating. Around 2010, Digital Concealment Systems, a small US-based company, developed the A-TACS camo, or Advanced Tactical Concealment System. The design philosophy for the creation of this pattern followed macro and micro patterns, instead of the hard-edged squares of traditional digital camos like Marpat. ATACS used organic shapes. Their pattern within a pattern method blends at multiple distances. Unlike older camos that often rely on sharply distinct colors, ATACS use digitally sampled colors found in nature, blurring transitions to better disrupt outlines. They also incorporated texture elements based on natural surfaces like bark, rock, and soil, making it look more naturalistic and alive in real-world settings. The first pattern to hit market was ATACS AU, designed for arid and urban environments, featuring tan and brown tones. Shortly after, the FG or foliage green version came out, suited for woodland and forest areas, using green and brown hues. Then they made some weird LE version for law enforcement, which I honestly don't care too much about. But at this time, this stuff was literally everywhere. Every brand was making stuff in ATACS and it was awesome. Truly peak times. After a few years, DCS created the IX variant, which they intended to be a transitional pattern for different terrains.
What will do for you, the end user, is allow you to take your high dollar items and transition them over to the current AU or FG camouflage patterns.
And I'm not gonna lie, I think things went a bit downhill from there. The newer AUX and FGX patterns were a huge downgrade in my book, especially the FGX version because it was truly not that good looking. Regardless, many more patterns were made for urban, snow, and even a hunting version. DCS even released a multicam-like competitor called ATACS Yukon. In 2016, the Russian company Spec Von Prom entered into an exclusive distribution agreements with Digital Concealment Systems. Subsequently, DCS assigned the exclusive rights to the ATACS FG camouflage to that company. As of recent times, ATACS, specifically the FG variant and its many copies, is widely used by the Russians and it is a common sight in Ukraine. Some niche patterns also have been used recently, such as ATACS AU with Chechen Special Forces and the IX version with Russian SSO that I can think of. The first piece I wanted to show is this smock over here. So this smock is made by Leo Kohler. It is a German company. And they used to make some stuff in ATACS. Of course, they don't do that anymore. But this is actual licensed FG fabric. And this piece is kind of one of my favorites. It is unobtainium at the moment. Pretty much impossible to find unless you get lucky used. And it's overall a really cool piece of kit. It's a smock, so full of feature. There is a few videos on the channel that show it. But the reason why I wanted to start with this, because I have a pair of combat pants in ATACS FG as well, and these are made by Emerson, which is a Chinese company. So these are replica pants, and they have been seen used by some Russian photos. But the reason why I wanted to show it is because I want you to take a closer look at this FG pattern and kind of put it next to the real licensed FG pattern. As you can tell, hopefully, there is a decent amount of difference. So this is the real one, and this is a Chinese one. As you can see, this is a bit more yellow. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but there is subtle differences, and some people care, some people don't, but I find this stuff kind of cool regardless. The first pouch here, admin pouch in ATACS FG. This is made by Emerson again, and kind of neat. Just an admin pouch is pretty simple. This is a nice spot for a multi-tool or some other things like that. Overall, the way Emerson does ATACS is kind of interesting. They use a very like mint green, if that makes sense. Their webbing is pretty nice, but so this is one made by Emerson. And then again with Emerson, this is this pouch, which is kind of like a Cry magazine style pouch. And as you can see, some of the webbing here, it's very like acid green kind of look. But overall, their fabric is pretty nice. Moving on, this GP pouch in ATACS FG, made by A&A Tactical. This is a Russian brand. And this is a GP pouch, but it's actually more of a medical pouch because it is a tearaway design. So actually a very feature-packed GP slash medical pouch. And this one is interesting because they actually use real ATACS fabric. It is licensed ATACS. And I hope you can see in the little tag over here, if the camera decides to focus on it, I can't tell for sure, but it is ATACS real fabric. Another Chinese ATACS pouch. You can see kind of the different coloration here. It's not exactly, it's kind of an in-between. It's a bit more bright green. But this is kind of a nice pouch. It's kind of like those Smersh pouches. They can hold quite a different variety of things. They can easily hold probably 3 5.56 magazines, 2 AK magazines, and a water bottle or something like that. And the closure is just quite nice. It's just this tab of webbing that goes underneath here. And then you have bungee retention adjustments, which is I'm a fan of. Up next, we have these taco pouches, and taco pouches are cool. Probably one of my favorite magazine pouches. So these are actually made by a guy in Poland, and these are handmade, and they are made with real ATACS materials, fabric, and webbing, I believe. But these are high quality pouches with the bungee adjustments, and they can easily accommodate AK magazines, and they have really good retention, but also really good for just standard 5.56 magazines as well. And then the retention is good. Last piece in FG, this is again made by Emerson, and it is a multi-tool pouch. It's a cute little multi-tool pouch, and I actually modified it with some bungee cord. But the fabric here, it's actually kind of a closer material to original FG fabric, and I think it's just because it's a small sample, so I'm seeing only a certain piece of it. So this is a ACO cut field jacket in ATACS AU, made by Proper. And as you can see, I want to give you a close-up of the real AU fabric. One thing that you'll notice is gonna be little splotches of green here and there, kind of that moss look. It is a very, very nice fabric. The original AU is by far my favorite. So this is an ACU cut field top in AU. And then another piece, again made by Proper, is this combat shirt. Proper combat shirts are quite nice because even the elastic material is matching fabric, which is nice. Another piece in original AU, this hat made by Condor. It has the mesh backing, and you can see the really cool custom Uncompliant patch in ATACS FG, which is IR reflectant. Going for some more rare pieces, this is a triple magazine shingle in ATACS AU. This is made by Warrior Assault Systems. So Warrior Assault System is a British company, and they make really good quality gear. They used to make stuff in AU and FG. And this is actually suited more for AK magazines. That's what it's a 7.62 shingle, but it'll work just as well with 5.56 magazines. Actually, you can double stack 5.56 magazine in this pouch because there is enough room to do so. I tried. We have another taco pouch. This is made by HSGI, High Speed Gear. They used to be one of the first companies to make stuff in ATACS, and they're an American company. I replaced the malice clips to ones I like best. But overall, taco pouches are cool. This is double stacked, and it can accommodate, again, both AK and 5.56 magazines. I will say it likes 5.56 magazines more because when you put, let's say, an AK magazine in this double stack, it becomes a little bit bulgy, in my opinion. We have this GP pouch, which is, honestly, I don't know the history of it. It is real ATACS fabric. I believe it's made in the United States, and it is a slim GP pouch, which I like a lot. It kind of reminds me of those machine gun magazine pouches, but it is not, because it is too slim to be that. But I love it because when you put on a plate carrier on your side, your arm here, it's not gonna feel a big GP pouch under your armpit. This thing is really cool. I have no identification on who makes it, but it is quality fabric, quality material, so I'm excited to use it. Moving on, another GP pouch. This again made by Warrior Salt System. This is a GP pouch that I sourced from the United Kingdom. And again, the one thing about it that it's really cool is just, you know, the real AU fabric and the cool AU webbing that they use. An interesting piece in ATACS AU webbing AUX fabric. So this is a magazine shingle, and again, it can take both AK and 5.56 magazines. It uses AUX fabric, which is so not a huge fan of it, but AU shingle. So if you put it next to, I guess, regular AU pouches, you can see it kind of blends in because of the webbing. So Emerson makes a comeback, this time with a tourniquet pouch. These style of tourniquet pouches are really cool. And as you can see, the ATACS fabric is, let's see, how do I showcase it? It's quite different from the original, but you know, it blends in if you have a bunch of different pouches next to each other, which is fine. I have this interesting pouch. So this is made by Tactical Assault Gear, which is another US company. They used to use real AU fabric. As you can see, the little splotches of green in the middle. My camera just wants to focus on my eyes really bad. And this pouch is actually originally made for a GPS unit. So look at the closure method, it's really nice. There's an elastic tab and it just pops open. And the walls are reinforced with plastic on the inside. So it's quite a rigid pouch. And it's just a neat little pouch. I don't know, you could use it for a multitude of different things. It's just a small GP pouch. I love the closure system. And this stuff is, most of the stuff is at least like 10, 15 years old, which is kind of crazy to think about. But this stuff is really bomb-proof. The fabrics, the G-Watt style of fabrics, just 1000D Cordura, just bomb-proof material. Not necessarily a piece of gear, but again, some more ATACS stuff is the helmet with the DIY cover. We started with ATACS FG, laser cut, super cheap Chinese fabric, in which I tied some more other fabric, including some of the AU elastic material. And then what you can see here, you have this cool custom-made AU patch for Chechnya for an impression kit. As you can see, it's really nice. It has all the laser cutting details with real AU fabric. Guys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video on ATACS and its brief history that I tried to put together. The stuff is awesome. I love it. It's my favorite camouflage pattern at the moment. So I hope you like it. I hope you like discovering new things. But that's about it. Anyway, subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you next time.